Hello, and welcome out to the first episode of Outbreak Gamers, my influencers series, which is a YouTube influencers that cover video games. And my name is David Anthony. My gamer tag is WEBDAVE, and I am very honored to have with me my very first guest, Mr. Boomstick XL. Boom, how are you doing, sir?
Man, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun. And again, we've been talking in the green room. We could have had a podcast before. We
We
got
could
so
have,
much.
we could have.
But I appreciate you being here. I cannot wait to get into some of the questions and, of course, some of the topics we're going to talk about.
Exactly. This show, I mean, we will cover, gaming, because that's what we're about. Um, Big gamer myself. Been playing games for a long time. Back at the Atari 2600 series, that's where I started. And I guess with that, I'd be like, so boom. How did What was your first experience with video games?
Super easy. I've told the story a half a dozen times, and
Hmm.
we'll continue to tell it because it's super important to me.
Hmm.
My dad was a blue collar dude. Back in the days, it was mom stayed home with the kids, made sure that we grew up properly. We went to school, did our thing, and he worked. He was a blue collar dude, worked construction, and in 1978, brought home the Atari 2600 with Combat, which was the pack-in game,
Hmm.
and Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and I believe Asteroids was another one. And I have never not owned a console, even from way back in the days. I've always found a way, even if it was past its prime, to get said console.
Hmm.
And I have been gaming for well over 40 years, and it's just an incredible hobby that I'm so happy to say and feel extremely privileged
Hmm.
to have gone from what was purely sticks and dots to what we get now, which is movie like quality games. And I feel very, very privileged to have experienced that.
Oh yeah, growing up like that with it almost gives you a to me and it seems like to you that an appreciation for the voyage. If you could have told me back when we were playing Adventure or Asteroids, Pac-Man, those kind of things to get to where we're going now, to where it's like realistic, lifelike. Holy snikes, man! I wouldn't have thought it'd been possible then.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, all you have to do is look at how far we've come from having to blow on the controls to put it in and playing with a stick controller with just one button to something as elaborate as the Xbox, Series X controller or the DualSense controller. I've never been a PC guy. I've always been a console dude.
Same.
But the leaps and bounds that we have seen, it's just unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Talking about blowing on a cartridge. I know the time when we were almost finished with the Legend of Zelda, and somebody bumped the system, and it pops the cartridge out, and you're like, it's not
Yeah.
saved,"
Yeah.
and you
Oh
were like,
God.
"Had to start over." Oh my god,
Yeah. Those are
it
those
was
things you used to
devastating.
kind of like tell your mom, I'm going to school. Don't
Yeah,
go into my room. Don't touch this console. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember those days.
My
I
daughter
remember those
now,
days.
she plays Final Fantasy 14 on her PC, loves it, but with the surge in popularity, she'll like put herself in the queue. She has a little, I guess, a special software on her PC that'll keep her character from like showing as non-active.
Oh wow.
So she's able to, when she gets home from work, she's already there and jumps right on it.
That's awesome.
So it's yeah, and it's like wow, that's things you have to do to get going. So also, starting with game, obviously it's a big part of your life, and your dad sounds like he helped get you that bug. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So also, I guess growing up over the years, I mean, a lot of people do know, what your profession, but I mean, you may not know where you started. You didn't start off, there. I'm sure you had small jobs growing up. What are some of the things that you've done in your life?
I mean, I had my I mean, I did everything from delivering papers to
Hmm.
working in a deli. Probably one of my most memorable jobs that I was just a lot of fun to get into was getting hired to work for Funkoland, which back in the days was what GameStop is now.
Yep.
And my first GameStop job was in Central Avenue on Yonkers, and
Nice.
right across the street used to be a big Nathan's arcade. They had about 200 machines in there, so a lot of the times, the guys, my brother, and two of my very close friends that you saw a couple weeks ago on our
Hmm.
Game of the Year show, um, we used to, get out of work, go get dinner at Fridays, which is our, we used to get there and
Yeah.
hang out there and eat like the world was ending, and then get over to Nathan's and just stay there for the rest of the night. It was great. So I had a wonderful time. And then at some point they thought that I was skilled enough to be a manager, and I had my own had my own
Very nice.
store for a while in Nanuet, which is crazy. Um, but it was fun. And from there, that's where it got serious. And I joined the NYPD in '94, and now I'm just retired. So now I do podcasting, as I guess you can call it a job. It's really a hobby, but
Right. Well, yeah, that's I mean, well, let's go back just a little bit. Not to get into it too much, but I mean, being a police officer, I mean, that's not an easy job to do,
no.
I would think. And in New York, it's probably not necessarily the safest one. So,
Look, I got to be honest with you. Probably
yeah.
my favorite 21 years of my life for a multitude
Yeah.
of reasons. I have a story that you don't normally hear about because only bad press sells newspapers,
Right.
and that's a sad reality with
Unfortunate.
it's a sad reality with the world. Every now and again, you're going to hear about a police officer that stops and helps an old lady in the street or delivers a baby in an elevator or something like that. I mean, for the most part, bad press sells, right? But I
Right.
was very fortunate in my 21-year career to go back to the neighborhood that I grew up in. I even policed the high school that I graduated from. I went back there. I graduated in '97. Went back there. Yeah, no, not '97. 89. I graduated and
Hmm.
went back there in '97, and I was a youth officer there for years. I worked in community affairs. I worked in crime prevention. I did everything under the sun. Did plain clothes, you name it, I did
Wow.
it.
That's awesome.
And I had an amazing career. I went back and I gave back to the same community that I grew up in,
Hmm.
and I served that community for over 20 years, and it was an absolutely an incredible career. I could not have asked for any better. And while there, even like from the minute I was a new kid, coming into the precinct, um, I used to get my balls broken, so to speak, because it was packed with dinosaurs. And when I say dinosaurs, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about guys with 10, 15, even 20 years on the job. So I'm a rookie. I'm coming in, right? No fear, want to save the world, right? And I
Right.
played video games, and they were like, when I, I didn't never hide that because I never drink. I don't drink, smoke, do drugs. Just not my thing. I
Right.
play games. That's my hobby. And they used to tease me all the time. What do you mean you play video games? What do you play, Atari? And at that time, I'm like, my God, you guys are so old. Like, really, Atari? Come on. Um, but yeah, it's funny. It's yeah, exactly. It's so mainstream now,
Yeah.
and I listen. I don't like to put myself on a pedestal here, but where I worked, it was taboo to be someone that played video games or went to comic book shows and stuff like that. You guys back in there, let's go to the bar after work, right?
Right.
That was a thing, and now it's very mainstream. So I remember opening the door, and now it's just busted wide open. Now, if you don't play games, you're weird. So that's how
Exactly.
things go
Exactly.
around. But yeah, I had a great career. Retired in 2014. Took some time off to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And in
Sure.
2017, I started my YouTube channel, and we're going to get into that because a lot of stuff that I do on the channel is self-taught. I looked on YouTube to learn how to do YouTube.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's a great resource to how to do it.
It sure is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that that you know appreciate the service that you did as a police officer, and
Thank you.
because I know it's can be thankless, like you talk, like you said.
It can do, Dave. I got to be honest with you, though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you can call it luck. You can call
Right.
it putting it out to the universe and the universe giving it back.
Right.
I could probably count on one hand how many days out of that. I mean, listen, you go back to something as serious as 9/11, and
Right.
it's horrific. It's there's no words for what happened. But for
Right.
the most part,
Hmm.
I had an absolutely incredible career from start to finish. There were some scary situations, of course.
Hmm.
Like it's a job that you kind of put yourself out there. For
Right.
me, and I didn't get into this. One of the questions that everyone asks, well, what made you want to be a cop? You want to know what the simple answer is? It's the most mundane thing you could think of.
Go ahead.
Playing with my GI Joes made me
Ah,
want to be a
yeah.
cop. Yeah, because in '82 they released the GI Joe 3 3/4. The guys are like this, about the size of the Star Wars figures,
Yeah.
and that still to this day is my favorite toy of all
That's your
time.
jam.
And that seeing GI Joe do their thing, I said that is what I want to do. Not so much the service part of it, but in the military, but to be a police officer, that's where it came from.
That's awesome. That is awesome because I'm right there with you. Big fan of GI Joes myself. I remember the GI Joe
I still
Adventure
collect
game.
them.
I have my certificate somewhere, but I guess obviously I'm a little older than you. I know it's hard to believe, Eh, but but yeah. So I was like GI Joe with a kung fu grip one Christmas. Cool.
I had those back in the '70s. Yeah, my pop got me a few of those with the lifelike hair.
Yeah, and there you go. That's it. So yeah, I'm right there with you, and loved the Joe figure, and it's awesome that that was something that made you want to be a police officer, and your personality, and I don't know, you're a very giving person,
Thank you,
and
sir.
let's just say that, and um, anybody who watches your show, and hopefully if they watch this, they're going to go and watch your show, all of them. You have a bunch, and continue to grow, but it's very how can I say it? You want more. It's like your
I
passion for the
I
game.
appreciate it. It's very kind of you to say, dude. I honestly, there are some days because I used to do a lot of shows and I've
Hmm.
scaled it down to 3 and I do one video on demand. We'll get into that a little bit later,
Hmm.
but there are days that I get stuff done in the house and I'm sitting there and sometimes I enjoy talking about games as much, potentially sometimes even more than actually playing them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a few times when I'm like, oh, I play this game. Oh, but Boom's got a show coming on, and I'll go watch that instead
Appreciate
of
it.
playing
Thank
the
you.
game. Because I mean, like I said, there's some people in this area. A lot of people that you, I guess, are starting to associate yourself with, and people you bring on your show that have gone on, or that have that are in the community that that's have a kind of this almost the same mindset that this is a good place to be. This is a good safe thing to do. It's a fun game. Of course, you do have a few, like you say, knuckleheads that that are
They're
whatever
everywhere.
brand loyal and stuff, type thing. I own them all. That's
Yeah, me
all I
too.
can say.
Yes.
So, and I guess the mean answer to somebody would be like, well, I have a PlayStation and just have a PlayStation. And it's like, well, if you have a PlayStation, that's great. Why don't you get an Xbox? Well, I can only afford one system. Well, that's cool. Cool. But Xbox gives you the opportunity with Game Pass to get in on any device. So
Yeah.
that's something that's I think is really growing for them, and that's really cool.
I think we're gonna see a big change in metrics
Hmm.
once the app becomes available on a TV.
Yeah.
Because listen, it's the reality is with that, Dave, is that the hardware is always going to be the hardware.
Right.
If you want the best version and experience of said whatever you're playing, it needs to be on the hardware. Now, whether that's a decked out PC that's worth
Hmm.
3 grand, and if that's your jam, okay, great, awesome.
Yep.
But for me, it's always been the console. But I think that one of the things that we've talked about numerous times on the show is that what pushed Sony to the 120 million consoles that they have currently under their PlayStation 4 belt is because, well, a lot of people bought this. Like my brother and myself, we're good for 8 consoles by ourselves.
Yeah.
I've upgraded all the way through. I've had 2 PS4, 2 PS4 Pros, him the same thing, and
Yeah.
that's just 2 people. But 80+% of the populace bought the PlayStation 4 because it was the cool system. It was the system that was in everyone's mouth. Everyone talked about it, and for good reason. I mean, I'm an Xbox guy, quote unquote, but you have to tip your cap to Sony. I mean, they did what they needed to do to dominate last gen, and once that there is going to come a point, Dave, where
Mhm.
the value proposition of what Microsoft is offering is not going to be able to be denied. Especially when, like, if you look at what they did last year, they had quietly one of the best years in Xbox history with first party. Right, it's been one of their biggest Achilles heels, and they just dominated the conversation almost the second half of the year. And Sony did what very unusual. Sony, they were out of the conversation. They dropped the ball. And obviously we'll get into what Microsoft continues to do this year, which we're only in the 29th day of the year, and it's like PlayStation doesn't exist. But
Pretty
getting
much.
back to the app on the TV, once that becomes a thing,
Mhm.
because this generation of people, not just gamers, actual people
Mhm.
that binge watch and listen on iTunes and watch on Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max, they have become accustomed to subscribing to these services. Service-based whatever, whether it be
Mhm.
film, music, or games, is becoming the norm.
Yep.
And the normies, or the casual gamer market, is eventually going to be like, hey, wait a second. I could turn on my TV. I can just press go on my controller, and I'm playing Xbox, and oh my God, look at
Yeah.
all these games, $15 a month. Okay, I'm in. And they're playing at 1080p because it's streaming. Maybe they're playing at 1440p because it's streaming. And they don't care because they're getting an experience, because they're just they're the casual audience. Now, like I said, if you are a diehard gamer like you and I and several people that are going to be watching the show, you want the best experience, so you're going to buy the hardware. You're going to have a TV with all the bells and whistles and the sound bar and the lights behind the TV and the surround sound. That's what we do, right? That's our
Yep.
thing. I tell you, dude, it's so exciting to not only be in the business of talking about games, but to experience this now, Dave. It's bananas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like and like when we started, Atari 2600, which was great. Then it was like, this is awesome. My world is
Except for the
changing. And now,
paddles. The paddles weren't good because
like
I
the
remember
paddles.
Kaboom.
Yeah. My wife's favorite game is Kaboom. She absolutely loves that game. So yeah, I'm
Hard
right
as
there with you on
hell.
that one. Yeah, it is. It is. I'm a Tempest guy myself. I'm a Tempest. But yeah, so let's go into the gaming community now.
Okay.
But you started, like you said, you started looking up on YouTube. How do I do this? Then you kind of got the inkling of, yeah, I'm a retired police officer now. I have some more free time. I want to do something, fun for me, and maybe something that obviously I think your wife is helps you with too, which is great,
Yeah,
Mrs.
she's
Boomstick.
a big aspect behind the scenes, and she helps out. Like I said, she doesn't want to be front facing. She's not like a
Sure.
camera person. She
Right.
does everything behind the scenes, which is great, which is fine for her. But my first foray into podcasting, if you didn't know, was on Crossfire with Mooch and Crap Gamer,
Right. Which
and
I've never seen that. So
yeah,
this is
Mooch is a good friend of mine. We
mhm,
we talk only a couple times a year because we're both very super busy.
sure.
Um, but I did what like as as a person, you have check bucket list that you want to check off, right? Whether it be to go to a very exotic country or skydive or whatever, right? Well, one of them for me, simple, was be on a podcast.
Right.
And I, you know what? Let me just rewind it back for a second because I want to
Sure.
actually kind of talk about how I got there.
Yeah, yeah.
In 2014, I I realized that the gaming media took a real turn on how they discussed and covered Xbox.
Right.
In 2013, Microsoft made some big moves that did not pan out. They had leadership in that were just they were not the right people for the job.
Right.
And coming off of the success of the Xbox 360, it was pretty much a slam dunk for them to continue just a more powerful box, and that's not
Could
what
have been.
happened. Yeah, well, it could have been, but it's fine.
TV, TV, TV.
And yeah, Donnie D, good, not the guy that you wanted. He had a. I mean, listen, he is who he is. Not a terrible
Right.
man, but he just was a terrible leader. Let's just say
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
And what started happening is I used to be a guy that supported IGN with the $15, $30 a year. Keep help Ryan McCaffrey. Hey, help keep the lights on and pay $30 a year. And I used to
Yep.
subscribe and to Giant Bomb, and I used to drop money into Kind of Funny all the time. And I kind of realized that I did not like the way the media was covering Xbox. It was cool to hate on Xbox, and what it did is it created revenue for these companies. So someone had said, "Hey, did you ever think about checking out YouTube?" And at that time, I was like, "YouTube? But isn't that just like for kids? Like, right?" And
Yeah.
then I realized that there was this smorgasbord, if you will, of content creation of people that talked positively about Xbox. And I was blown away. I was like, "Oh my, I can't believe this exists." So I started watching, some of these podcasters, and I came across Crossfire. Now, Crossfire, it has changed over the years. Again, I'm not going to talk about their podcast. They do what they do, and if they're happy with that kind of content creation, good. I'm not going to
Right.
argue with it. But I had reached out to Mooch at the time, and I said, "Hey, listen, I don't know if you ever have community members on, but I would love to come on and just talk about Xbox." And I got my shot. He says, "Yeah, sure, come on in, come on this day." And I was there, and I was done, and I was like, "Wow, I got on a podcast. This is pretty incredible." And then he asked me the week after, and then the week after that, and the people that listened to Crossfire really kind of enjoyed what I was putting down, so to speak, with my sensibility regarding the industry, not just Xbox, just the way I
Right.
conducted myself. And he asked me to be a panel member, and I was completely blown away. And 2 years, to the day, I stayed there, and I had a great time doing it. And at that point, realized that A, I wanted to do my own thing, and B, I kind of wanted to give Friday nights back to the missus, because we used to go out or have
Right.
dinner or have our movie nights. And she didn't ask. She was like very surprised when I said I wanted to leave Crossfire. She's like, "Hold on a second, are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of want to get back to doing what we used to do." And I left, and here I am. I had created this plethora of gaming shows that a lot of people like. And I honestly, there are days that you got to pinch yourself still that, wow, people actually do like what I'm saying. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, I know I do.
Thank
A
you.
lot.
I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. So when you I guess when you started going off onto your own, you went to I guess you had to start your channel. You came up with your, let's say you started off with your brand. So let's kind of get into that real quick, because I know the story. A lot of people do, with your double barrel gaming and
Yeah.
Mr. Boomstick.
Yeah.
I know what that references, and I'm a big fan. So let's talk about your I guess enjoyment of that, and then how that became what you want it to be known as.
Well, listen, every title that I have come up with have come up in the most ridiculous manner possible. Really, honestly.
Yeah.
Breakfast with Boom was derived of me doing the laundry. I was downstairs, I
Ah,
was doing the laundry, and Breakfast at Boom popped in. That was the first show that I did. That's Friday mornings, 10 a.m. That show has been running, continues to run, and people dig it.
oh yeah.
And when I left Crossfire, I wanted to do something at night. I wanted to do at least one evening podcast because I realized there was an audience in the evening. And I kind of ran it by Mrs. Boom, and she was like, "Yeah, I kind of like the idea." She goes, "But what time are you thinking?" And I said, "Well, prime time." And she's like, "Well, you know, 7 or 8 o'clock is pretty much prime time for TV. Maybe you could launch it that way." And we did 8 o'clock at first, and then I had, I think it was last year, we decided, the panel and I, to move it back an hour, so it's a little bit more attainable. Because 8 to 10 was tough for some people. 7 to 9 seemed to be a little bit better. And that I actually primetime gaming came to me while on the supermarket line, ready to pay for my groceries. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, I gotta write this down." I put it, text myself, primetime gaming. I like it.
Yeah.
And those were the bookend shows. And the Xbox Factor podcast, well, that was derived of my absolute love for the Xbox brand. I mean, like you, Dave, I have everything. I own
Yep.
everything. I have a Switch. I play the Switch every day with my
Yep.
wife. We play Animal Crossing together. She's
Right
on the
there with you.
TV. I'm on the HD model, and I'm just sitting there, and we're having a good time. I enjoy my PlayStation, but it really is an exclusive box. That's all it is.
Hmm.
If it's an exclusive on that box, I get it. And I do like the over the shoulder, story driven, adult themed walking simulator
Yeah.
game. That's my favorite part of why I have a PlayStation. And then the rest of is all Xbox. So the Xbox Factor podcast, again, just doing something mundane. I happen to be waiting for an appointment, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to do an Xbox show. And I'm like, Xbox, I'm on a podcast, and the Xbox Factor. So I looked on YouTube and said, Xbox Factor, that's got to be taken. And it
Right.
wasn't. And I was like, wow, okay, here we go. And I actually started that with the Welsh Gamer. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him. The
Mm-mm.
Welsh Gamer, he had to step away right as the pandemic kind of got out of control in 2020, because his wife was a nurse. So she was obviously, on the line, tending to
Right.
people, and he was home taking care of their little one. So he had to step away from the show. And I had built it up, and now there were two, like during the pandemic, I kind of wanted to give back to the community, to kind of take people's minds off it. So I added an extra show, and it was a lot of work.
Oh,
Four
yeah.
live shows per week, eight plus hours. It took a little bit of a toll, to be honest with you. And I kind of scaled it back. I cut one of the Thursday show, and we kept it on Tuesday. And every one of the panels I work with, they were like me, very very small, wanted to get into the business, didn't know how to get into business. And then that's what I want to get into right now, Dave, because you talked about it a few minutes ago, and I think it's
Hmm.
incredibly important. The channel itself was built on the ideology of paying it forward. Like,
Yes.
a door was opened for me by Mooch. He
Yeah.
was nice enough to invite me onto the podcast. I had an incredible 2-year run. Didn't always get along, especially with the crap gamer. He was very, very other side of the road.
Right.
I don't say argued. We had difference of opinions almost every show,
Right.
and I figured that, well, if I'm going to build the brand properly, the thing that has to be the pillars of what makes this channel, whether I fail or whether I continue to win, has to be giving others an opportunity like was given to me. And I have kept that promise, and I have introduced, and people tell me all the time, "Oh my God, Boom, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you." Listen, I take
Yep.
zero credit for anything.
Well,
Zero.
you shouldn't, but
Zero. No, because it's not me. I simply
right.
just open a door, and you come on through, and then you go and
Yeah.
you do your thing. And I can talk about countless people that have been on the show that have gone on to do incredible things. The Wandering Dutch, Kay Asante, Everborn
Yes.
Saga, Zemi Games. Look at what Mav, Fun Speculation, is doing. Look what
Yes.
Pong Soul and I Still Rain. I mean, it goes on. Box
Well,
and Burgers, another one,
Boxenberger. Yeah.
was a
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic community member. And like I said, I zero credit, because I didn't do anything. The people that you see, they're the talent. I just simply gave them a platform to talk on. And I listen. I would not have changed it for the world. I love helping others. And I think that really does. I swear, this is going to sound so lame. Don't
Oh,
laugh at me.
I won't.
This goes all the way back. Knowing is half the battle, because like GI Joe, that was my thing. A lot of the principles, even though it was a silly cartoon, I kind of kept with me as a cop, and I continue to carry with me as a content creator. And I think it really does step back to all the way to 82. But plus
Yeah.
my dad was a people guy. He was a very, very loved man by many. People would lie in a puddle so he wouldn't get his feet wet,
Wow.
and because how he handled himself, how he carried
Right.
himself as a man. And I'm a carbon copy of him, so that I carry all of that to say, I think that you're going to dig what we're putting down here on Double Barrel Gaming.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. And because I guarantee your dad is quite proud of you
I
and your
appreciate it.
career.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah. So and we'll touch on this toward the end. But you have a really nice closer that you do every show.
Yes, it's
And
super important to me. Again, it's the simple things.
yeah,
It's the small
but you know
things.
what? The first time I heard that, I was like, "What did he say?" And then it was like the next show, and
It's
it was like, "You did it
simplistic,
again," and it was
but
yeah, but it was the respect. It was the once you hear when you say that, it's like I get it. You know what I mean? I
if
understand
more
where you're
people
coming
just did
from.
it,
Yeah,
Dave, man, this world would be so awesome.
it would be. You're right. You're very right. And I love that some of the people that you brought on. I mean, are not necessarily. I mean, I like we all have all systems, but
Yes.
you have and maybe what do you call it, Xbox focused at times,
Yeah.
but yet you have some of your panel members on there are people from the PlayStation side
All the
that
time.
have their
Yeah.
own PlayStation channels that are smart enough to know that we love games, and those are the kind of people you bring on to your show that are. I think it's fantastic that you do that.
I tell you something. It's the two that jump off the page are incredibly. Listen, if you're a PlayStation gamer and you're tired of listening to how hateful some of that community, and it's not just PlayStation.
Right?
Let's get that straight across the. There are bad guys
Yeah,
across
on
all the
both sides.
platforms.
Yep.
That's a reality.
Yep.
Unfortunately, some of the PlayStation Nation, there are quite a few very, very highly vocalized ones that
Yeah.
kind of really make it seem like there's a lot, and there really isn't. There's a very small portion of the community. They're not the majority. They really are the minority. But the two shows that I would really ask that you check out is the Trophy Room, which is run by Mr. Badbit. That guy,
Yep.
that kid is incredible. I think he's going to be big in gaming. Someone's going to pick this kid up. And BitCloud Gaming, another one. He's an incredible kid. He's working with IGN right now as a freelancer.
Yeah.
And these are two dedicated PlayStation channels, but they also talk about, the good of PlayStation and sometimes the not so good of PlayStation. But
Right.
I like to bring I like bringing a variety. I like new voices. I like new faces because, again, I said this before, YouTube is such a vast pool of talent that it's hard. Growing an audience is no easy feat. That's why I pinch myself. I honestly do, because 10,000 subs, I know that it may not be the most, but it's hard to get people to tune in every week to your show. It's hard to get people to subscribe to your channel.
Yeah.
It takes work, and I am very, very, very fortunate.
Well, you've met 10K, and I do have a feeling before it's all said and done, Boom, that you're definitely gonna reach the 100K. I really
That
do.
would be something, I gotta tell you.
Oh man, and I want to be there for that episode too. I'll tell you that right now, in the corner cheering you on. So yeah, so that's my goal to help you out and get there too.
I appreciate that very much, brother. And yeah, obviously we're gonna get you on. We talked about it behind the scenes. You're gonna definitely get on one of the upcoming shows. and get your brand out there as well.
Well, that'd be exciting. I appreciate that. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Listen, again, one hand shakes the other, right?
Right, right. So let's tune into the community. You talked about the shows that you have now, but you also recently started, which I really like, because I think it's. I mean, your talk shows are fantastic, and those are great. And you have gameplay that you just play, which let's face it, Boo. Sometimes some of those dirt tracks, you're not the best driver in.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I know, absolutely.
But it's funny. I
Yeah.
mean, look, I'm not a good gamer. I'm not a
I'm
great
actually quite.
gamer.
I
I
actually better
enjoy
in
gaming.
Dirt 5 is one of my
Yeah,
favorite racers.
yeah.
That's where you see the gameplay all the time. I love it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But what's that? Was the Baja cars though?
Not to go. Yeah, the ones with the slants. Yeah,
Yes.
those are
Excuse
so
me.
hard to drive. It's crazy.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. It keeps your interest too when you have that on. I'm not gonna have it here today because I'm a really bad gamer. No, I'm just kidding. But I tell you that your newest adventure that you're doing is your X vlog.
Yes.
So how did that come about? And I mean you're getting into it now, which I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So
Well, X Vlog is something that the people asked for. One of the things about content creation that if you're unaware of it, you've heard me talk about this publicly with Boxenberger, who makes
mhm,
incredible videos.
he does.
But the work that gets put in behind the scenes, folks, listen, it's we do this because we're passionate about gaming, but there is a heavy workload behind the scenes. And you take one of Boxenberger's videos, and for every minute of that video, that is an hour plus production time. So if he puts
Yep.
out a 9.5 or 10-minute video, understand that he might have worked on that video for 11 hours. That is
Yeah.
a tremendous commitment. Um, and people have been asking for more VOD content. So I decided, I said, how can I meet everybody in the middle? How can I be in front of the microphone, can just be on camera, get some gameplay, make it about 10 or 15 minutes, and also bring some production value as if I'm doing the video. And that's where I kind of met in the middle with the Project X vlog. And I said, okay, well, Xbox is my brand. I can
Mhm.
take one hot topic. I could do the research on that topic. I can write up my script, which is what I do. I read from the
Yeah.
teleprompter. Some of the stuff is scripted. Most of the stuff isn't. But when I start getting into specific dates and times and numbers, I don't shoot that off the fly because I'm bothered by not providing the correct information.
Right.
And if I play it back and I've got something wrong, I will just dump the whole 15-minute
Wow.
episode and re-record because I got something wrong. And a
Right.
lot of the times, what you see is one take. It's not. I don't cut these videos. It is me, and I go out there and sometimes I make mistakes and I have to do it 5 and 6 times. The last one was about I had about 4 times I had to just dump the thing after
Wow.
recording, and light was coming in from the side. It didn't look right, and I set it up. I got the umbrella lights in the back, and I'm trying to make it as professional as I can
Sure.
be. And I really do like that because I can focus on one topic, get in there, give you a bunch of information, get you some gameplay of whatever I'm doing, and put it out 10. Usually, I've had a few that run into 26 minutes, which is a little long. But
But the subject
sometimes,
just seems like it
yes,
needed
yeah.
it.
Sometimes the subject matter is just it's so intense with nuggets that you have to
Yeah.
you got to put it out there. You can't half cock it.
Right.
But for the most part, they're about 15 minutes, which is what you would find in a video from like Dealer Gaming,
Mhm.
which does incredible production. Randall Thor's another one that does. Colt Eastwood. I mean, these are
Oh,
these
yeah.
are three
Yeah.
behemoths that put out incredible videos for all friends of mine, which is great.
Yes.
But I kind of like, and the people dig it. If I was getting some negative feedback, because I've done stuff, the one thing I will say, if you are someone that is liking this conversation, you're like, wow, I can try. I want to try getting into content creation. I have to give you a piece of advice. Don't be afraid to fail. I have
Right.
failed numerous times with shows I've put out there, and they just didn't hit. They didn't
Right.
click. And sometimes you just kind of got to take the paper, throw it in the garbage, and kind of just get back to the drawing board and do it again. And don't, again, that's if my small piece of advice: don't be afraid to fail. It is okay to fail,
It
as
is.
long as you are passionate about what you're doing. It don't do YouTube for the money because you see X, Y, and Z with sponsorships. Don't do it for that. Do it because you love talking about games,
Right.
or you want to be in the business and you want to sell yourself. Listen, I don't think I'm going to get hired by Microsoft. I'm 51 years old. I'm an old dude. You know what I'm saying? And
Never
and
know.
it's yeah. I mean,
Senior
it's
gaming.
possible. It is. They're inclusive, which is what I like.
Yep.
Which I like about Microsoft. Um, but if they called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, listen, we're thinking about getting a community manager, giving you a community manager position," I would probably take it.
Oh, heck
I'm a
yeah.
little long in the tooth, but to be honest with you, I would still take it. And if that's what you want to do, you want to put yourself out there because you want to get someone to notice you. Be passionate about it, bro. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You just get out there and just put it all on the line. Don't be afraid to be transparent. Also, be clear as glass. That is, people could read through the BS. Don't BS people because we all can read it. Just be yourself.
Right, right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good advice from Mr. Boomstick. Boom, that's awesome. Awesome having you on, and we're not quite finished yet, but
Yeah,
I want to a few more things I want to cover. But like when you hit 10K, I it gives you the option to add a quote or just retweet the video when you're on Twitter. And every time, especially after you hit 10K, that you have a video, I put up there and I will add Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer. They may never see it. They may. I'm sure they get tagged on a billion things
I
a
got a
day,
funny story
but
about
you never
Sarah
know.
Bond. I got a
Oh,
fun.
okay.
I
Yeah,
got a
let's hear
funny.
it.
Okay, look, I think she's amazing.
Yes,
I think
agreed.
that when you see the way she conducts herself,
Hmm.
right? She's not a mirror image of Phil. She's her own woman.
Right.
Same thing with Matt Booty. He's his own man, and everybody. That's what I love so much about Microsoft is that they're these personalities, but they're so different.
Hmm.
Aaron Greenberg. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
he's a gem of the community. What could you say? I've kind of been a little hard on Aaron every now in the 2013, 2014, 2015 because I'm like, guys, what are you doing with the brand? You're
Right.
killing me, yeah, you know. But what could you say about Aaron? He's an amazing community member. He's as generous as they come. He's always doing something for charity, and kind of just reeling us back to Sarah. Sarah Bond has exploded on the scene.
Right.
Like, she's been working with Microsoft for a while, but you never heard of her because she, like many people that help run Redmond, they're just kind of doing their own thing. And now she's on social media. She's kind of, rubbing elbows with the community. And I love to see it. Well, when I hit the 10K, a very good friend of mine who is an absolutely insane artist,
Hmm.
known as Ben Kenobi on
Hmm.
Twitter. The kid is just
I've
first
seen
of
his
all,
work.
he's just incredible. His work is just go follow this kid because his artwork is just bonkers. And
Right.
everyone from Microsoft uses it. PS, by the way. So he had did a 10K circle, and I changed it and I tagged him. I said, I just want to thank Ben Kenobi for his incredible work. This is great. Sarah Bond retweeted and favored it and said, I like this. And I,
Yeah.
of course, took a picture.
Yeah.
I
Of
took
course.
a picture. As a matter of fact, also, um, the best beard in the business for Microsoft, that Jason Ronald
Hmm.
congratulated me on Twitter for the 10K, which is freaking pretty awesome.
That is
So,
awesome.
again, the goal is I'm going to be greedy here, folks. I'm going to be straight up greedy. I got a chance to interview Larry Herb in 2019. That was dope. That was incredible.
Yes.
But I got to get Phil and I got to get Sarah. If I got them both together, I'd fall over on the chair. I wouldn't be able to do the interview, but I want to interview them at some point in my career. Hopefully that does happen.
Well, I hope you get it too. That's like I said. That's another reason why it never hurts to throw it out there, just to tag
I
you in them.
appreciate it.
Worst things that can happen is they're like, well, he's at 10K now. Let's see what his phone 10K. Maybe we'll throw him a bone. Maybe we'll
Yeah, you
make
never
it. You
know.
never know.
You never
You start
know.
off somewhere. That's right. That's right. So, and thank you for sharing that. That was awesome.
Dude,
I
trust me.
appreciate that.
I immediately took a picture. And I was like, I can't believe this. Like, this
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, well, that is very awesome. So let's get into a few more little things. As I guess as the current um, era of gaming is right now, um, it is like you said. We expected the beginning of the year, just slow pace, nice, easy going, and then around E3 time, if there is going to be one, then then we'll start hearing more information, more things, more trailers, more games, and then Microsoft has a lot of other plans,
Yeah.
and they decided to just blow everybody's mind and maybe even change gaming forever, which is great.
Yeah.
So, what are your points and your thoughts on this?
I mean, look, what could you freaking say? I mean, normally this time of year, right? As gamers, as podcasters, we're stumbling into the new year because the prior year was a long year, right?
Hmm.
We're just getting over the holidays. We're getting over New Year's. This last couple of years, we're continuing the fight with COVID.
Yep.
It's a tough go at it. Life is not easy. So, you would think we're starting the new year, let's just you said, let's roll, just stroll into it.
Yep.
And one of the things that Microsoft did last year was completely steal the narrative away from Sony. They basically pulled pages right out of their playbook and used their own tactics against them. And they dominated the conversation on every level. First
Agreed.
party, gaming, value, having consoles available in the form of the Series S when you can't find an X or a PS5 anywhere. Um, so with Horizon Forbidden West, it's a very, very big game. I cannot wait to get it. I have the collector's edition. I love Aloy. I love the worlds. One of my favorite new Sony IPs. So
Mhm.
that's coming in that's coming in February. So at this point of the year, Microsoft doesn't have a big first party to go up against it. They don't. The closest thing that they would have had got delayed until December, and that was Stalker 2. That was going to be their rebuttal, so to speak,
Mhm.
coming in the very early spring. And they started off the year like, hey, what's coming to Game Pass? Wow, those are some pretty impressive things. And then the week later, we hear, oh, Extraction, new Rainbow Six, that's dropping in. But oh my God, they're getting Ubisoft Plus to come to the Xbox platform. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's day and date for your $15 a month or whatever it winds up being, and all the DLC, everything, all the bells and whistles for that. Okay, sign me up. Let's go. And then the following Tuesday, I'm coming up from doing the wash and I'm bringing up the dried clothes to fold, and my phone rings and it's Kay Asante, and I missed the call. So I'm like, okay, I'm put this down, make sure everything's all right. And the kids are and everybody, because we talk on we talk on a daily basis.
Right.
So I'm like, hey brother, is everything okay at home? He goes, hey, you didn't hear? And I'm like, nah, I was down in the wash. Hear what? Microsoft just bought Activision Blizzard. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've heard a lot of things. I literally almost fell in the doorway. So he goes, I just sent you Phil's tweet. So I pull it up and I'm like, dude, someone hacked his thing. They hacked his account. This cannot be real. And then I'm getting my phone's going off on King David, Cognito. Everyone's calling. I'm like, holy, this is what?
Yeah.
dude. Dave, I kid you not. I walked around the house 3 times and I don't remember doing it because I was like, what am I what is happening? What am I gonna do? And that particular day, which was a Tuesday, I usually
Yeah.
have the Xbox Factor podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
I was like, okay, I had a bunch of other chores to do. F the chores. I'm doing an emergency podcast at 10 a.m. And I found some people, and it wound up being a very successful. We had 1,500 people in the chat. We had
Yeah.
13,000 views to this day. And I mean, wow. Look, I said this on the podcast, then I'll say it today on this interview. If Microsoft does nothing for the remainder of 22,
Right.
it's not going to matter
Right.
because they have done something. First of all, we all thought almost $8 billion for Bethesda was a big deal, and it was a big deal,
Yeah.
and listen, it is a big deal. Those IPs, those iconic IPs as first party. When again, we're going to see it this year with Starfield, with Redfall. We're getting the PlayStation 5 exclusive in Deathloop coming to Xbox Game Pass. That's just the tip of the iceberg for Bethesda. I mean, you got Fallout, you got Doom, you got Elder Scrolls, you got Wolfenstein. I mean, the list goes on and on. So that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was $8 billion. But then they dropped the gauntlet. Like this is Thanos, Phil's Thanos snapping a
Yep.
level kind of a situation. $70 billion. It's the biggest. It's the biggest purchase in Microsoft history. I mean, if that doesn't draw the line in the sand to say, "Hey, Sony, we're here for real," and listen,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, and I know that on Monday's prime time we're going to be talking about maybe Sega joining the fray because there's been some Famitsu Wave articles saying that they're kind of trimming their fat, and when that
Yep.
happens, it's being discussed. They might be kind of setting themselves up for a purchase sometime down the line in the next 12 to 18 months. Well, listen, I'm not a mathematician, Dave, but I can say that kind of falls into, hey, we just finished the deal with Activision. Now we got to move on to something else.
Yeah, and they have the money. They still
They
have money.
they do. They
Phil says
do.
he's still shopping.
He's still shopping, yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy and it's exciting. And it's not just because it's like, oh, it's my favorite brand, but it's like, and this is, I mean, this is gonna be good for gamers,
Sure.
period.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
especially in the again, I keep saying it, and I think it's an important part of the conversation. The value proposition of what Microsoft is offering is an unmatched value in any medium. Whether you get digital comics and you subscribe to this, or you get digital movies and you subscribe to that. I mean, I think the number was, and someone had did the number for last year, $6,500 worth of games were
Yeah.
available for $15 a month in 21.
Amazing.
$6,500 worth of games for $15 a month. It's an unrivaled value. And with this deal with Activision Blizzard, I mean, look, I talked about this before, and I'd be very remiss, Dave, if I didn't mention it quickly.
Mhm.
I think that as excited as it is as gamers, I think that when because you and I, we're in the business, so we
Mhm.
know, we take a look of what's behind just the top layer, and the human element that does not come up in a lot of conversations that worked under the devil in Activision for years
Right.
are now going to be given a reprieve and an opportunity to develop games and make games for the love of making games, not when you go to HR and you're now out of a job because you complained. You went to a safe space, and because it was owned by the corporate hierarchy, you couldn't go there and complain about sexual misconduct or something horrendous like that. So, being that Microsoft is known as the best company to work for in the world, by the way,
Yes.
I would imagine that same ideology, even though it's going to take some time to get that ship right. It's Activision Blizzard, very, very big corporation. They're getting 10,000 plus employees. It's a big undertaking, and it's going to take some time, but it's eventually going to work into what Microsoft does. And I can't wait for that. And I think that is a very important part of the conversation.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, because it's I mean, you have a wife, I have a wife, I have a daughter,
Mm,
and it's like, I'm, my daughter works at a movie theater. In case you didn't notice,
yeah, yeah, I see it. I see
she
it.
brings me home posters all the
I
time. I
love it.
love
That's
her so
awesome.
much. So yeah, so but it's like, and you gotta, there's things out there and people out there that are not good people,
Oh,
and that to take advantage of someone that's underneath them is horrific.
yes, I agree,
And if it
100%.
was my daughter, my wife, my somebody I knew, I mean, I would, whoo, man. I just I think that Microsoft, uh, because they have their problems in the past,
Sure.
and Phil
Phil
has
actually said that.
really
Yeah,
come in and righted the ship, and that I think that they're a good company to be able to right this ship too. I
indeed.
think that they
I
can
agree.
do it. I think with
Yeah.
the track record that they now have, um, and because a lot of people, there were people that left Microsoft that were like, "Oh, work here," but now that Phil's in charge and they're seeing the way things have been over the last 3 or 4 years with Microsoft, you know, once he became in charge, I'm not saying he's the saint but I mean, his philosophy, and that he is a gamer, and that he is like, it's about the games and where you can play them, and
Yes.
everything else is like, let's push all that aside. Let's focus on why we're here
Yeah.
and what's good for everybody. Is a great, what's really making it a huge entertainment in America and all over the world, is gaming.
Yes.
Or more money than people, the movies make. You can
Yeah.
make in gaming.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm glad that started off at Atari, and growing up to where I am now, I'm like, oh man, whoo, what's next?
Yeah. It's now we're into VR. We want the
Could
danger
be.
room, or we want the holodeck, or
Yeah,
Ready Player
yeah,
One to come to
yeah.
reality. That will be here soon enough, I would imagine.
My son's big into VR gaming. Okay, cool, but I like it that it's not something you have to do. It's like it's
Exactly.
there if
No,
you
it's
want to
it's
do
it's
it.
it's nice to do something different.
Yep, yep, yep. So let's I guess we're gonna let's kind of tie things up with three gaming questions for you real fast
Sure.
to just kind of ball it up real quick, and then we're gonna let everybody know where they can find you at. Um, let's see here. So I guess what was a game that really, I mean, obviously your first system, but I mean, what was a game that like, or a mascot that was like, wow, this is, I love this. I got to keep playing this, and you're up for hours playing this game. What was something that did that to you?
I'm gonna fast forward the conversation until
Sure.
much later, past the Atari 2600, the
Right.
Vectrex, the ColecoVision, all the stuff. For
Hmm.
me, the one game that jumps off the page, the one character that jumps off the page, you're gonna think that maybe it's Mario, maybe it's Sonic. It's actually not. It's Chris Redfield from Resident Evil.
Great
That
game.
is my
Great
favorite.
franchise.
That's my favorite franchise of all time. Resident Evil 2, 19 just recently overtook Resident Evil 298 as my favorite game of all time. That remake is just a love letter to anyone that played the original. It was scary. Mr.
Oh
X
yeah.
was for real. Um, and Resident Evil is my favorite series of all time. Of all time.
Yeah, that's it. That's your big one.
Hmm.
Now, I've heard you say this before. Resident Evil 8 is not necessarily your favorite Resident Evil.
No, it didn't. It didn't even. This year, last for 2021. It barely got into the honorable mentions, and
Right.
that's a shame because Resident Evil 2 was my game of the year for 2019 when it came out. Resident Evil 3, I think, just got beat out by something else. I don't remember what it was in 2020.
Right.
I mean, that the game, it was great, but they cut so much out from it
Right.
that it didn't really feel like a full three. It kind of felt like a 2.5, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. I agree.
Resident Evil 8 was graphically, it was beautiful. I could not get behind the Lycan vampire thing, and Resident Evil was wacky. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
But
yeah.
it just went over the cliff for me. Not saying it's a bad game. It's just that I did not like what they did with Chris Redfield. Throughout the whole game, they made him into like a real POS, and
Yep.
I did not like the direction they took the character. This is the same guy from Resident 1 that was this heroic, I want to save the world from Umbrella, to this character that I couldn't stand when it was on screen. So I just, again, didn't dig it as much as I loved 7. 7 was my game of the year, and I believe it was 2018 that came out.
I
Was
think
it
so.
2018? 2017. I
17.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, loved it. Didn't think I was going to, because it's first person. I like the over the shoulder kind of,
Right.
but
Right.
it was good. I did not dig 8. No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, 7 just it really it seemed like, even though it was a different perspective a little bit, that
Still
it
felt
was
like RE though.
right. It was scary. And I remember the first time I played Resident Evil on PlayStation, put that first disc in, and I'm sitting there walking through the castle and hear every time you walk, and then all of a sudden the glass breaks and these dogs jump out, and I'm
That's
just
the
like,
one.
ah!
That's the moment. That's the
And I'm just
moment.
like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? It scared the
That's a
crap out of me.
drop the controller moment, man.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And it's like one of those things. It's like, now you do it, and you're like, but it's like, at that time, did not see it coming, didn't know it was there, and then boom, yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. And you're right, it's a great franchise. So, what is, I guess, a game in the future that's not been released yet that you're most looking forward to?
You know what? There's so much coming out.
There is, and
There,
that's a hard question to pin down.
if I had to if I had to plant my flag, it's got to be Fable. It's
Yeah,
got to be Fable, because um, Playground Games they just delivered one of the best racers in gaming history, right?
agreed.
If I were to say, hey, boom, what are your top racers? Well, the first one would be, like, I love MotorStorm on the PlayStation 3. Absolutely loved MotorStorm. It's just such an incredible game. You got Burnout 3, an absolute iconic racer.
Yeah,
The Need for Speed Most Wanted, the launch title for the 360, one of my favorite racers. And now you have this Forza Horizon 5 that is not only breaking records left and right, it is inviting in people who don't even play driving games, that don't even
right.
like driving games. It's pretty incredible what they were doing. That same team, that same development house, is going to deliver Fable. And it's they I mean, I know that they've already said it's going to retain some of its British humor, which a lot of people were hoping, with the chicken kicking and stuff like that. And
Definitely.
it's what made Fable, but it is going to be a visual masterpiece, which is what we're expecting, which the people have been asking for. That the whole hashtag just one.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see what they deliver. I mean, we got a trailer a couple of E3s ago, where we saw what just a cinematic trailer, and it looked gorgeous, and you saw
possibilities are just
it
wow.
really they really just
Yeah.
go crazy with your ideas. But I can't. That's the one game out of all the consoles that I'm looking forward to, because it's a reboot of one of the 360's most iconic games.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. Boom, man. Thank you so much for being
Thank you.
on
This
this
was awesome, brother.
premiere
I had a
episode.
blast. I had a blast,
Well,
brother. Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed having you on, and finding out more about you. And I think it's fantastic. So, if you don't mind, let people know. I mean, probably most people are going to know, but there's going to be somebody that sees this that doesn't know how to get a hold of you or how to watch your shows. And where can people find you at in social media?
Super easy. DMs are always open. Invite the conversation at Mr. Boomstick XL on Twitter. It's the one social media space that I spend a significant amount of time in. I have over 120,000 tweets. You can find me there if you want to check out the YouTube channel, Double Barrel Gaming on YouTube. This face is going to be what you see because I have a character that looks like me, which is
He does.
bonkers. And check out the videos. Listen, please, whatever you do, don't subscribe unless you are going to enjoy the content. And I think that you're going to dig it. We do cover Nintendo. We do cover Sony. We cover Xbox. We don't really cover PC per se, but if there's a conversation to be had, we will cover it. I have a multitude of shows, starting with Monday evenings, primetime gaming, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's a multi-plat show. The Xbox Factor podcast, well, that tells you that it's an Xbox show. That is Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to close out your week, we have Breakfast with Boom, another multi-plat show, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in between there, I drop an X vlog, which is about 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes long. It's a VOD. You click on it. I drop it as a premiere. I'm in the chat talking with you guys and gals, and I honestly believe that there is going to be something. We do not sell the brand with hate. It is always a very good conversation that we do and we talk about, and I think that you are going to dig it if you are into gaming.
Awesome. Boom. Thank you again for being on here. And I tell you, you should subscribe to his channel because it doesn't cost anything to hit the subscribe button and the like button. Those are free. And if you like it as much as I do, you should become a channel member because I am, and there's a lot of great perks to that. So I'm looking forward to maybe some of the new updates on that too. I know there's some little cool icons that you got in there, but maybe you should have a little boomstick icon, with the mohawk.
Yeah, we're working on it, Alex. I'm working with Dinero Primero. He does a lot of the artwork for the channel.
Nice.
I'm also working with Ben Kenobi, so I'm using those two to kind of refresh and mid-year. We're going to be launching an actual merch store on YouTube. Yeah, we're going to have our own merch. As a matter of fact, Ben Kenobi right now is redesigning all of the logos for the channel, and we're hoping to have that ready to rock and roll by mid 2022.
Yeah, you need to get the brand out there.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Boom, again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day today to be here. It's
my absolute pleasure. It's my honor to be here. And you know what? Let me close out the podcast.
Definitely.
Something that I say listen, this might be lame to some.
No,
but
it's
it
an honor.
made me the man I am today. And my dad used to say, son, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're gonna have an awesome day. And listen, I live by those words, and I think it's worked out for me.
It has. Boom, like I said, honor, pleasure. Thank you for doing that. And everybody who's watching, do yourself a favor and go on over and check out Mr. Boomstick's channel at Double Barrel Gaming. It is awesome. I guarantee you are going to be entertained for hours on end. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like and subscribe this. And you can check us out on our website as well at outbreakpodcast.com. We also have other videos as well. My biggest video, well, funny enough, is a wrestling video we did. Me and my we went to a couple of wrestling shows, friends, local wrestlers, and there's two wrestlers that they had, female wrestlers that they had on it. It was a great performance, but it actually has over 62,000 views.
Holy cow!
I know,
awesome,
and I'm like,
dude.
Sweet. How can I get wrestlers on this show? I'm just kidding. Boom. Thanks again. And you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining us here on Outbreak Gamers.